Everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at the Xbox Series S and compare it against the Xbox Series X and see which particular Xbox is a better one for you. Now, the thing I can definitely tell you when it comes down to both of these types of, Xboxes is that they're both very, very good. I think they're both very good types of Xboxes to go ahead and buy. And, although for the most part, it might make more sense to go and maybe buy like one type of Xbox more than the other one, I still think both these are very good options. I think if you're going to go ahead and buy them, they're very solid options for the most part. So let's go and see how both of them kind of compare. Now, if you want to pick up either one of these types of Xboxes for the most part, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these Xboxes, the first thing to remember is that the Xbox Series X is basically supposed to be a, more expensive model compared to the Xbox Series S. So if you're taking a look at both of them, the Xbox Series S is supposed to be that cheaper end model, and the Series X is supposed to be that more expensive one. So that's typically how these things kind of go, and if you're going to go through and pick up a model, that is without a doubt the easiest way to kind of differentiate the two. Now, when you look at both of these phones for the most part, or these gaming consoles for the most part, the Xbox Series S is that cheaper one. And when you take a look at it from that side, you're basically getting like a good type of layout for the most part. I think getting something like an Xbox Series X is still, something that's probably the better idea. But the Series S on the exterior still looks pretty good. You're getting a console that basically gives you this, slim type of design. It's much slimmer, much smaller than the Xbox Series X. And it is still a really good looking console. I do think if you're going to go through and pick up a gaming console, you're still probably going to have a pretty good time with this type of gaming console when it kind of comes down to it. It looks good. There's not really that much to complain about here. And I will tell you from that side, that is kind of one of the easiest ways of kind of looking at this type of console and kind of thinking about it. Because you are getting a good type of experience and a good type of layout when it comes down to this type of console. Again, maybe it's not perfect, but you are getting a good type of layout. But keep in mind, there is no disc tray inside of the Xbox Series S. So that right there can be a pretty big downside depending on who you are. If you are wanting to get a gaming console, you're going to have to remember that the Xbox Series S does not have any sort of disc tray inside of it. So that right there can be a downside. With the Xbox Series X on the other hand, this one is giving you a lot of different stuff inside. This one is a much bigger console. It's also a much more powerful console when it comes down to it as well. And it is going to be one of those types of devices that you can take a look at. And that one is going to be a very, very killer type of console when it comes down to it. That one's pretty much going to be giving you a lot of different capability. And that is one of those things to keep in mind, because that type of console is going to be giving you those, ports on the front and the back, kind of a more type of layout. But the biggest thing is that that type of console is essentially going to be going through and giving you a much larger disc tray inside of it. So it's giving you even any disc tray. The other one is not even giving you a disc tray. So that right there is going to be, without a doubt, a really, really big advantage. And when you're going to go through and pick up some sort of gaming console, that right there is going to be a really big advantage in and of itself. So personally for me, I feel like if you're going to go through and pick up a gaming console, I do think that is a really good idea. And I, for one, I am a massive fan of getting a gaming console like this that's going to be giving you that type of experience. So I do think this thing right there, it's a very good console. And definitely if you're looking at it from both sides, the Xbox Series X is going to be the one that is probably going to be giving you the overall better, type of experience for the most part. But I will tell you the Xbox Series S, for being as portable as it is and all that stuff, that one is also still going to be giving you a really good type of layout as well. So from that side too, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now, on top of that, when it kind of comes down to their, kind of the exterior, again, the Xbox Series S is going to be that smaller one, but there are some advantages for the Series S. Number one, it's going to be way more affordable than something like an Xbox Series X. This console you can probably buy for less than $300, and with some deals and some other things going out, you can probably buy it for even cheaper than that. So that is a really big advantage for something like the Series S. It's going to be much smaller, and you're getting basically the same type of gaming library almost compared to the Xbox Series X for new exclusive Xbox games. It still supports Xbox Game Pass, so you can play all those games, and it is backwards compatible with other downloadable Xbox games that you have in your library. But the biggest caveat and the biggest downside of the Xbox Series S in this day and age, for me personally, is the lack of a disc tray, right? There's no disc drive, so you can't play any of your physical games. You can only play your digital games. there's still a bunch of digital games to play, but that right there is kind of a pretty big downside, and depending on who you are, you might want to be able to go through and get some sort of gaming console that's going to be giving you a disc tray. So not only can you go through and play all the games that you already have, but you can also go through and buy used games online, and then you can go through and have an even bigger gaming library. So that is right there one of the bigger downsides, I would say, of getting the Xbox Series S, is the fact that there isn't really a disc tray inside of it, which will kind of give you an overall better experience if you actually had a disc tray versus not having one. So although it's not the biggest deal in the world, like I said, that is really without a doubt one of the biggest downsides of buying this type of console. Now, with something like the Xbox Series S, I feel like this is going to, or the Xbox Series X, this one is going to be giving you kind of a better type of experience when it kind of comes down to it. So it's a much bigger console, so that right there, it is one of those big things to keep in mind. But on the flip side, when you are going through and buying something like an Xbox Series X, this one is probably going to be giving you an overall more heftier type of experience. With the Xbox Series X, this thing is a very powerful console. It has more RAM, has more memory, has more power than the Xbox Series S. You get native 4K gaming inside of it compared to something like an Xbox Series S, which doesn't really have native gaming. You're getting a larger amount of standard storage built inside, but the biggest thing, my favorite thing about the Xbox Series X, is the disk drive. Having that disk drive and having the capability of kind of going through and getting the ability of kind of just playing whatever games you want to that you can have inside of this console, that's a really big advantage to have here. And I, for one, like I said, if I'm going through and picking up a gaming console, that is going to be one of my favorite advantages here. So that right there, that is going to be a really big advantage. And if I'm going to go through and pick up a gaming console, that is going to be the first one I'd recommend getting, because it is going to be giving us like a way better experience from that particular side. So, there's still more advantages for the most part, but I will tell you, even with the Xbox Series X, there are some cons. It's a higher price, so it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So that right there can be a little bit of an annoyance depending on who you are as well. So that right there, it is going to be more expensive. On top of that, it's also going to be a bigger size, right? It's going to be an overall bigger type of console. And depending on who you are, that might not be something that you're okay with. And you might want to look at a different console because you don't want to spend, you don't want to get a bigger console maybe per se. So what I will tell you is that overall, if I'm looking at this type of console, I do think something like an Xbox Series X is the overall better console, right? That is the one that I would look at to basically every single person out there. And that is the one I would recommend a majority of people to go ahead and buy. That's the console that would make more sense for me to recommend to people. That's the one that's going to be more powerful. And if you don't really care about having like a portable console or something like that, then this is the one I would recommend probably a vast majority of people of kind of going through and kind of picking up. Other than that, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to go through and kind of pick up some of these other type of gaming consoles. I feel like it makes a lot more sense to go through and buy ones that are still kind of going to be supported with software or still going to be like, more powerful. And like I said, if you don't really care about anything else, that's kind of the big thing to keep in mind there. Other than that, I think something like one of these types of consoles are still very good options. You can't really go wrong with either one. But if I'm going to pick up one, those are kind of the ones I'd recommend kind of picking up or avoiding. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.